Happy Memorial Day, everyone. I hope you all are having a fun and safe holiday weekend, at least if you're here in the States. Don't know if it's a holiday anywhere else. I heard it was some kind of holiday in Belgium as well. Fun fact. So, people frequently ask me where I stand on this crypto, that crypto, and the other crypto. And I understand why they do so, right? It's really, if you are in personal finance YouTube, you hear everybody talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum. Back in the day, everybody was sponsored by FTX, and you may be just trying to look for somebody with answers that you can understand, okay? Now, I usually tell people that I'm not in crypto, and I'm going to tell you what I think of crypto overall as a vehicle for investment, and hopefully it will be something that you can digest and understand as a regular person and not some kind of tech bro who thinks everything is the blockchain bro and the future bro. So, as you can see, Bitcoin is quite the volatile investment. If you got in early, you would be up massively today. But don't let the fear of missing out drive a decision to put a bunch of your money at play here, okay? There are almost 23,000 cryptocurrencies in existence. Think about that for a second. Now, also think and ask yourself, what is it that makes any one cryptocurrency necessarily better than another? When you go to the store, is there anything where you can spend your cryptocurrency? Is it really even currency at all? Can you pay your utility bills with it? Can you pay your mortgage, your rent with it? Can you pay your taxes in cryptocurrency? Or do you have to sell it and receive dollars, euros, whatever your native currency is before you can spend this currency? So does it really even function as currency at all? Well, maybe it's a store of wealth. Well, what is the intrinsic value of cryptocurrency? Maybe it's a good investment. Maybe it's worth more than what you can sell it for, and the market just hasn't realized it yet. Well, the intrinsic value of a cryptocurrency apparently can be determined by its utility, scarcity, and technological application. Well, essentially how rare it is and what it can be used for. Well, what can Bitcoin be used for, really? I mean, other than gray area, gray market, black market, either borderline or illegal goods and services, where people want anonymous payment that they can cash in easily because there's a good amount of liquidity. So you hear about people, doing deals on like the dark web, usually dealing in Bitcoin or some other crypto. That's the real utility of it, okay? As far as technological application, well, it's the blockchain bro, I guess, right? I don't think anything has yet to have a track record of actually playing out and actually generating economic output or value using blockchain. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think that anybody has successfully created some type of a crypto coin or anything that just by the nature of owning it, like with a stock, that it generates a future stream of economic value to you that you can, model in some type of a, Excel sheet or, mathematical model to determine an intrinsic worth, like a discounted free cash flow model for a stock, or a net asset value, or price to book value model for a stock. I don't think any such thing exists for crypto. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but well, what about inflation. You hear, well, hey, crypto's kind of like, like gold or silver. It's like kind of a hedge against inflation, bro. Okay. When looking at the CPI, the graph shows if there is any correlation between CPI rising and Bitcoin price, it is negative. If consumer prices increase, Bitcoin price usually falls. Meaning inflation up, Bitcoin price down. Why is that? Well, if you throw a bunch of your money into Bitcoin, for example, and your grocery bill goes up and your rent goes up and your utilities go up, you can't pay them in crypto. You have to cash in, right, in order to pay for those increased living expenses. And a lot of the people in crypto, frankly, are not independently wealthy. And so that creates a lot of selling pressure. All right? That's rational, that's reasonable, that follows. That makes sense to me. What drives crypto value? Primarily affected by supply, demand, availability, competing cryptocurrencies, and investor sentiment. AKA, the feels govern the price. There isn't actually anything intrinsically valuable about it. Because, let's face it, with crypto hasn't been around all that long, not nearly as long as the stock market. And yes, there are thousands of publicly traded companies out there, but there are literally almost 23,000 cryptocurrencies in existence today. And there isn't really a barrier of entry, not a substantial one, to creating a crypto project, as they like to call them now. And if you throw in, I don't even know what this number is if you start throwing in things like, NFTs and all that kind of thing. So what you have is this really, really rapid oversaturation and a lot of hype. People look for social media trends, etc., to tell them what's going to be the next best thing to get into. That isn't an effective way in the long run to figure out what is a good investment. In fact, I would argue these aren't investments at all. These are just, technically speaking, I guess they're assets, because there are other people, there is supply and demand, there are other people that want to buy them from you, at least currently. So, sure, but making money on this strictly relies on a principle called the greater fool theory. So, the greater fool theory argues that prices go up because people are able to sell overpriced securities to a greater fool, whether or not they are overvalued. This is, of course, until there are no greater fools left. So basically, you can make money on crypto only if there is some other person willing to buy the crypto from you for more money later, okay? How does this differ from other investments? Well, if you own stock, they can return value to you either through the company doing buybacks of their own stock, right? So increasing your equity position basically by reducing, it's basically something like if you had, a partner in a business and you each had 50-50 and then you buy them out and own 100%. It's like that, only, on a much, much bigger scale, where there's, potentially millions of partners and that kind of thing for a publicly traded company. But it's the same concept. Or by issuing a dividend and just sending cash directly to the shareholders. Okay? So, or, businesses can retain earnings and build up their book value and their balance sheet with that. Okay? So there's a lot of ways that companies can, fundamentally increase their value to you as a shareholder. A crypto coin, it's only worth more if someone else feels like it's worth more. Okay, that's why there's no discounted free cash flow model or other model I'm aware of that can let you project the value of crypto into the future. Now, if you believe in technical analysis, which, I think there are people who are able to effectively read trends and charts and things on a pretty consistent basis, someone like that, probably could make decent money trading crypto. But is crypto an investment? There's a difference between trading something and investing in something, okay? So, buying something with the intent to just sell it later because you think it's going to go up, that's trading. Buying something with the intent to hold it for years and years and years because you think that it will grow in actual value and generate a consistent return to you as a holder of that asset, that is an investment. Real estate is kind of the same as stocks, right? You can buy a piece of real estate. You can, while holding it, you can rent it out and produce a stream of cash flow. And eventually, you can put more money into it to improve it and raise what rent you can charge. You can have your rent go up with inflation, etc., and you can grow that stream of cash flow over time. So it functions, a lot the same as stocks in that sense. But again, that differentiates real estate from crypto. You can't do that with crypto. So ultimately, this is why I steer people that I care about away from putting their money into crypto coins. Now, somebody asked me like, hey, what makes dollars, better than crypto? Well, if you pull up a dollar, on the top here, it says Federal Reserve Note. Now, in financial terms, a note is essentially a promise, all right? And pretty much all modern fiat currency is essentially that. It's a promise of, the central bank of whatever country, of the treasury. In this case, it says Federal Reserve Note. So basically, this is a promise to pay, right? Now, since this just represents a promise to pay an obligation, essentially, you have to look at who backs the promise. That's what ultimately decides whether a currency is going to be useful, stable, and if people will, use it to conduct commerce, essentially, right? People will accept payment in a currency on the basis of that. And in terms of the US dollar, why it's still considered the world reserve currency is that this promise is actually backed by the greatest economic and military power in the history of humankind. Okay? The guys with the fighter jets, the nukes, the tanks, those are the ones that say, we're backing up this promise. This is our central bank. Okay? Legal tender, good for all, debts, public and private. Okay? The full faith and credit of the United States of America. All right? That's what makes this valid as a currency versus any of these 23,000 crypto coins, which are backed by a dev team of 19-year-olds in their mother's basements for the most part. Okay? So that's the difference. If anybody cares to add their input in the comments below, I imagine this is going to be rather controversial, but I'm hoping that this at least explains my standpoint on crypto in a way that people can actually understand and that's accessible. I think people who tend to overcomplicate this subject are the ones who are mostly trying to sell you something or just, play the game and get the clicks. I don't believe in that. I believe in keeping it 100% real at all times, and so that is what I will keep on doing. Take it easy, everyone, and have a wonderful and safe holiday.